Hello, good evening, viewers. Good evening, Obina, my fellow obedients. I thank you this evening and I welcome you again to this edition of our program, Review of That the Free Debate. Today we will have a review of the debate we had 2 nights ago, where we sludged it out against Team Ashwaju and Team Atiku. As usual, we will have a review of the debate, and the topic that we debated on was food security and employment. I want to believe that you have your view regarding the topic, the points delivered, starting from the introduction to Rohuta and then the Basbos. Importantly, you must have formed opinion based on the conduct and the character of the debaters from the various teams. So today, we're going to review that. I welcome on board my colleague, interesting, focused, obedient young man, Obinna. Good to have you. Good evening. How are you today?
Good evening, Mr. Tito, able moderator. It's nice meeting you again today on our live program. Our topic for last week, our last debate, which is food security and employment, was indeed interesting. And of course, members of our team who were there to represent us, they did so well. We watched the program, how they were able to context in big holes with the fellow political parties. And what keeps me so delighted today is that we are going to be having so many persons on this live program. The guests coming in and the members from Team Peter Obi, Yusuf Dati, that is our team. A lot of persons will be speaking for today as we move on. So it's indeed a great thing to be back on air again for Nigerians as we continue our message of sensitization to make every Nigerian know that it is indeed a great thing to be associated with a great icon like our principal, Mr. Peter Obi. Thank you very much. Go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Good to have you. As usual, we also pay attention to activities, events that happen within the week. And this week, we record that from the conventional news, it has been said that the Central Bank of Nigeria is going to introduce a new Naira note, which is a redesign, a kind of a tweak of the current Naira notes, 100, 200 Naira respectively, and maybe later the bigger notes will be touched. And they give various reasons for doing that. Ours is an economy that is in trouble, economy that has nosedived seriously, and everybody in the country is having the effects of this. And questions are, is this timely, given where we are in our economy and given the political atmosphere? Well, there are different opinions. Some are for, some are against. But we hope that our country gets it right. And we are saying again, it's important that for there to be any policy that have the tendency of negatively affecting the community, must in all way and all morality be guarded against, so that the people of this great nation will exercise their franchise without fear, without being influenced in any illegal way. It's important that this election holds and holds very well. Let us make a statement that will tell the world that Nigeria is a great nation of great people. It's very important. So back to, we want to also welcome some other people who will be joining us online to debate, to look at the debate topic of last week. And for you, our viewers, we welcome your messages, we welcome your participation. Just indicate that you want to be part of it, and we'll bring you on board to hear your view. Do not forget, the topic is food security and employment. Okay, we are looking at this topic. We are also looking at the behavior and the conduct of the debater. As it pertains of words, how are we showing the world that we are civilized during the debate by the parties involved, or do you have reservations? comments, suggestions, this platform. Obina, do we now have other people coming to join the discussion?
We are still expecting our colleagues, our colleague guests. We are still expecting them. I just hope that in a few moments we'll have them join. I'm getting signals already.
Okay. So talking about food security, Tim Peter will be made a submission on during the debate, and we did mention food security and employment. They work together. And fixed food security, I mean, the topic is a broad one. There are different ways to look at it because food security touches on virtually every other thing in the economy. For the country to have food security, we must increase our local production capacity, as the primary products, and even the refined products. This should be done within the country to first of all feed the people of the country, and then eventually into export of this product, both in raw form but also in synthesized form. Okay, and to generate more foreign exchange for the country, and to give our naira a step the primary production. Doing is important, and our principal Peter has said this is a cardinal point for him. He must for the farmers and even improve on it by making sure that there is mechanization. Been saying that the wealth of this is located in the north, where you have which we must put to use. Okay, talking about Niger State and the West. Okay, now to do that, he's saying you must give the people assurance of security for the life and the properties. Because if you don't do that, how do you expect farmers to go back to the farm? And so he said he's going to deal with the issue of security, and he will deal with it decisively, and that as people want to know. And I've asked, how would he do it? Matters are not in the open. He's not going to give us details of how to tackle the security challenge. But he's saying that he will deal with the security issue immediately and decisively. And in a nutshell, he says he will expect performance from anybody that puts in office. If you do not deliver, you leave. In his words, deliver or you go. And there is not going to be a time wasting on that. This is a man that is ready. He has the problem. He's no longer studying the problem like he said. He wants to know the problem before he gets to that place. Not when he gets there, he will start thinking about problem, looking for who to blame. I think the man is ready. I think he knows what is there waiting for him. And he has that resolution to go there and tackle it head on. So we support him. Now, having talked about the security issue as it relates to food security, we're also talking about funding. How does he intend to raise the funding? And he's saying the critical mass of what we need to do that is even here. Then borrowing must be to finance productive ventures, such that the fund borrow will be plugged into productive ventures and return. We have somebody joining us. Who do we have with us? There is something wrong with his mic and video. If we can put the two up together, that will be fine. Perhaps he has network challenge from his end.
Actually,
Can he log out and then come?
I actually had to mute him. He's online. He's online. I actually had to mute him. Again, there are several noises around this environment.
Okay, I can see him now. Let's try. Perhaps his audio is okay now. Unmute him.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, the audio is still having challenge. Team, you have to log off and then try coming in again. We admit you, hoping that it gets better. Okay, so of this is also something that Peter is good at. As he has always said, being a banker and having done well in the first sector that funded this kind of project by saying that the Bank of Agriculture will be so empowered and it doesn't need to look for the fund outside. The banks in Nigeria will be made to become current shareholders of the Bank of Industry. Therefore, they become the owners. And then from the profits which they declare yearly, they plug in money into Bank of Agriculture. And Bank of Agriculture will down lend money to proving agriculture in the sector, from farmers to bird farmers or whatnot. You can imagine what that would do to the economy. It won't only assure us of our food security, but it also give us a very good foreign exchange activities for the nation. Okay, so there are so much to be said, such that we are even asking maybe that the freeze will have permission given to us to also visit this topic, because it's so broad that even the teams agree that they cannot finish all of that in one day. Talking about food security, of course, you know that even science is involved, because R&D, okay, will be involved, horticultural and all that will also be involved. So science has a big role to play there. What about power, electricity? Okay, you need that for the processing of produce and bring them into newer forms. Okay, so there are so many that will be done, and all will be involved. Do you have something to add to this?
Thank you very much, Mr. Tilo, for the well done on all you have been saying. I particularly will be speaking from the topic of the day, also with my view on the current announcement on the production of new groundnut. For me in Nigeria, I see that introduction as a means of scamming Nigerians. Political strategy they always put up when they know it is close to election, so they can loot money back in Nigeria. But I tell you, all of these things, God is going to make sure there's a change. Back to our topic of security and employment, as from where my colleague stopped, I wouldn't like to be from there. Now, as we all know that John Lives has some security measures that are already in place. That is the same way food has security measures that which we are currently not experiencing in the country. Nigerian food production be done in a way that every individual in Nigeria should at least be able to afford 3 square meals a day. I am not making any error on that. But presently, how many persons are able to afford even a square meal in the country? This is a great question. This is a question that should be asked on the present government of Nigeria. What happened to Nigeria that they took over from previous government? What happened to Nigeria that existed in the early 80s? What happened to Nigeria? Nigerian food security has become a total threat. I could still remember vividly that in the 90s, there used to be a basin of garri for around 25 to 50 naira in price. But today, even if you have 20,000, I'm not sure you will be able to afford that. In the price. Remember that sometime, some years back, we still can purchase rice for 4,000 naira. But today, 65,000 naira for same bag of rice. Same bag of rice is purchased on naira. And our whole local Nigerian rice, which is supposed to be cheaper than anything, now sells for within the range of 45 to 48,000. Where are we going? Now, this is the effect of food insecurity. Now, if there is total security on food, certainly farmers will not be deprived of the mechanisms to farm with. They will be able to have proper machineries which they will cultivate their farmlands, and to the point of harvest, there will not be any complaints of I use my hose, I use my cutlass to try to farm. At the end of the day, you become tired, sick, one thing or the other. Modern agriculture is practiced outside this country, even countries within the African continent. Modern day agriculture is practiced in Brazil. Modern day agriculture is practiced in Europe. These are places. They produce good farm produce, some of which were exported to Nigeria for our consumption. They did not achieve these things with just coming out to farm. No. They did not achieve this thing with lucky borders alone. They were able to achieve these things because there were measures on ground put in place by their government, their leaders who were ready to be an example. They laid down machineries, they encouraged farmers, and farmers were there 24/7, know that they have a regular job. They were there to produce food for the people to feed. And this has created a very great relaxed. The minds of the people became relaxed, knowing fully well that what they are going to feed on, they have sufficient farmlands. And these farmlands have been fully cultivated to serve them and give them all they need. Now, in our country, Nigeria, farmers in their own little way were working so hard to ensure that they are able to come out with some meaningful results in production. They were producing most of the food we eat in this country and exporting outside this country before we started to have insecurity in our farmlands. What is the cause of this insecurity? Still unknown to us after several years of it existing. Like my principal said, insecurity is not a thing that cannot be tackled within 3 days. Any form of insecurity that lasts 48 hours is, you will know that there is a hand of a leader in it. Now, this insecurity came in to affect our local farming, created room for every person in the country to become, should I use the word, totally destabilized. Everyone in the country now finds it difficult. Everyone in the country find it difficult to afford feeding. Why? Because farmers are on strike. Farmers are no longer in the farm. They are running for their dear life. Because going to the farm, what we hear next is that people who have gone to farm to produce food for the populace have been either kidnapped or they have been slaughtered in their farms, or cattle raiders, ex-men, unknown gunmen have shown themselves before them. And nobody at that point is trying to come to their aid. As much as we provide security in the physical terms in our urban communities, there is also a need that security should be provided in our farmland. Every farmer, everyone with the idea of farming ought to have been given proper. I happen to be a part of one fine scheme where we were promised to be given good loan to support our farming, on cluster farming, to be specific. But what happened at the end of the day? At the end of the day, a lot that is unneeded was experienced. Some people in this country calling that were meant for farmers, after a lot have been put into this project. I don't want to mention name of this project. Neither am I going to mention the name of these persons, these dubious people who sat on the fiscal funds released to cater for the well-being of our farms, which ought to have increased food production and at the same time create employment for citizens. Now, our principal has all this in his plan, and I am sure that in no distant time we will begin execution as soon as he resumes office. It is no play. It is no time for jokes. It is work that is going to be all through his administration.
All true.
Now, let me tell you this. Education has a role it plays in man's life. Whether you are formally or informally educated, provided you have acquired little education. Now, farmers, they also need to be educated on how to use machineries given to them. There ought to be seminars, there ought to be symposium. Put them through, show them new ideas, tell them things that are happening presently in the country, tell them things, how other countries succeed in their farming and how they are able to produce largely to take care of the people, that is the citizens of that country, without resorting to other places. They need to be aware. Employment, as we all know, has eaten up 90% of our economy. In Nigeria presently, 90% of youths are unemployed. There's no doubt about that. There's physical argument, but no one can contradict this presently in Nigeria. This is why you see that almost every youth you see are entrepreneurs trying to do one trade or the other, all for the purpose of survival. There is no payment from any government. There is no industrialization. There is no financial fund support to, make these persons perfect on delivering tasks to the country. Great skills, but seek an avenue to showcase their skills. This has not been given to Nigerians. It has not been given to Nigeria
Yeah,
youth.
if you can all
So
hear me.
Okay, I think we have more people joining us.
yes, we
Who
have
am I
we have
calling?
we have a team lead with us.
Okay,
Um, that is a Priye Diary of a Canadian mom, a great one for
Mom.
that matter, who celebrated her birthday in
in
grand
a grand
style.
style.
Telling you,
Yeah.
So we do
since
hi, happy
the
birthday.
celebration is still ongoing, and I'm sure
Thank
she has
you.
brought some of
Thank
the celebration to the platform here today. Our president, you are welcome.
you.
Good to have you.
Thank you. My voice might sound a bit sketchy because I still have my so regarding the effects of okay, first I know intentional policy is to address food shortage, food production, and agriculture as a whole within the country. Whenever we're faced with an emergency like what we have now, suddenly everything is gone from everyone's hands. Fall back on. We live in a country where, apart from grants and should be having, we don't even have insurance for our farmers, and that's a very big deal in my own opinion, because you cannot have a country as populated or as Nigeria without any intentional policies to address the provision, and not just the provision of food, the availability of tools for farming, to find that we find ourselves in this situation, but it just so happens that that's where we are now. And the effects of the flood, for it's told shortly. So we were complaining about food prices ago, and now it wouldn't even be about the prices. It would be more about the fact that we can't even see these food items to buy. Unfortunate that we, in the 21st century, we still have a government that makes excuses for things as we still have ministers who tell you things like the flooding, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. You still have that doesn't ever think anything is an emergency. We still have agriculture that is always totally silent. We wonder if it even exists. We don't have that, would I say, act formation, not the leaders, nothing. And that is the reason why people had for Peter Obi's candidacy. It's essentially the fact that promises, because we've all heard manifestos in the past, right? It's more about how to get these things done, number one, and number two, really explain that accessibility, that's not just accessibility, the fact as well to information, his approach, his detailing, because for the longest time, Nigerians have been confused, very, very, very confused. Currently now, Nigerians are in a state, have so many, about 1.4 to 1.5 million displaced people. Me giving you statistics from the 19th, I'm sure it has clocked like 2 million. 33 states are underwater. But that we lack intentional policies. It's very easy to form policies time there's a new policy. It's not as if these men don't come come up with policies, but in the legislative and come up with any policy without research, without involving skilled and without involving people that have the subject matter know-how, the subject matter consulting them. They just come up with this ridiculous old age economics. The printing of the new currency is an example now to print fresh currency. They've not given us an economic as to how that would affect Nigerians. We want to print new notes, and you have this amount of time to turn in to print new notes. Nothing, and that is how all our policies always come in woefully, because we don't work with subject matter experts, and we have a that just sitting down in front of a microphone and dishing out policies was going to fix an entire nation without considering the demographic, the spread of people's population, without considering even our productivity. No statistics. Just wake up. This is what will work. Let's print new notes if we can. But anyways, these men also, from another angle, as Peter Obi said, they know what to do. They just don't want to do it. Unfortunate that we are where we are. Regarding our weekly debate and the conduct of it, has been.
Yes, I was to ask you that. Please go ahead.
Been noticed by everyone that the moment something Peter Obi just by mistake has a temper tantrum, maybe raises their voice, maybe voices out something in harsh manner, he's complaining. But we always see the conduct of Tinubu look the other way. We're supposed to always overlook it. If the talkers are aggressive, we're supposed to always take this right. This is not to say that all the teams have the right to defend their candidates as passionately as they want. Abusive behavior, it is very hypocritical for anybody saying about abusive behavior while dishing it out at the same time. It's like madness. You don't expect someone else to be silenced, but then you don't want them to express themselves, but then you don't express yourself effectively, and that's the situation we're faced with. For a while now, the obedient movement as a whole and our team, this debate space that we participate in every week, is always the you did this, Team Obi did this, you said that, you did not do this, you did that, hey, this was happening. At the end of the day, you cannot be asking for fair if number one, you lack self-control, or you cannot tolerate other people, but you want to be heard. I personally, people that handle things like that, I find this manipulation. It's some form of manipulation. Oh, Team Obi is aggressive. Team Obi is abusive. Team Obi cheat, blah, blah, blah. But then again, you lack the conduct of respect for your fellow debaters and every other person when you raise your voice. But then if someone else raises their voice, you have a problem with it. And that is really a major characteristic of that in the current political system, and it's unfortunate that their followers, stance with things. It's what we have to deal with. Student movement and people who are supporting Peter Obi's candidacy are stuck between being angry at the current situation in Nigeria and also an expectation that they heap on Peter Obi, that we have our own emotions based off of the standards they've set for him, that they sell or their candidates, badly behaved candidates. Let's even forget the supporters. The candidates themselves have been poorly behaved, guarded every single process, not there for the most important. Even if these maybe not a necessity, but they are hardly there for any signing of the peace accord, or they go about their business and their campaigns and their mouths during their speeches. You wonder how is it that these people are sitting down with a high shoulder, expecting you to submit to them, shut up for them, don't scream at them, don't go at them, nothing. You are just supposed to be silent, and they are the only ones that have a right to express. I will tell you for a fact, this is October and this is about 4 months to the election, and I don't think anybody can really faze me. And I would like to urge everybody, fellow team members, not see, this is the time for expression. If people have or anybody supporting Peter will be expressing themselves, make something. This is not the time to even dampen down or anybody to try to. We have a right to really demand change and good governance, transparent and very transparent and very, very intentional change. That is what young people. It's not about coming to dish out things and sounding overly convincing the electorate for their vote. It's not about that. What do you plan to do makes you different from the leaders in the past? Are you able to talk about your policies with paper? Are you able to consult? Do you even have any relationship in Nigeria? Any leader that cannot check off these things is completely qualified. To me, is not qualified to even be running in the. Fortunate that we have a country like Nigeria that sick people, tribalistic, religious bigots will stand and force themselves on the off. While either the sitting party or we have structure and all those things that don't matter when it comes to the lives of human beings. But because of the amount of impunity we have in Nigeria, this is where we find out. I yield the mic. I see Brume is here. Welcome. Thank you for taking on. It's really appreciated. I'm sorry again for my shaky voice. But
we had
this is where we find ourselves. Yeah.
Your voice was okay. We had you very well, and thank you for going details in explaining the conduct of the participants, that's debaters in the last debate section that the freeze live. Okay, we have Brume, who was part of that debate. He did the intro and also took the rebuttal. Brume, you are welcome. What do you have to tell us and Nigerians about the debate that had 2 nights ago?
Yeah, can you hear me properly?
Very well. Go ahead.
Okay, and one thing I want to comment on is the fact that as a team, as Team Peter Obi, we are generally well prepared for our debates. Most of us do a lot of research and try to come out with facts. So when they ask you, what does your candidate plan to do regarding food security and employment? I remember I mentioned a few points on that day. I mentioned he plans to tackle security so farmers can go back to their farms. I mentioned he planned to tackle financial policy so individuals could take loans to either go into farming or food processing, right? I also mentioned that Peter Obi plans to tackle the problem of flooding in Nigeria and also make sure we get the benefit of the rivers, River Niger and River Benue, dredge them when necessary, dam them when necessary, so that farmers like up north, where we have all this arable land, can use it for irrigation, right? I also mentioned education so that people can be educated and find ways to boost the private sector and escape unemployment. I also mentioned that Peter Obi plans to support small and medium scale enterprises. After mentioning all these points which I researched, Team Tinubu opens her mouth and says, we want to hear strategies. We want to hear strategies. Okay. And then she proceeds to give us a lecture and says nothing about what her candidates plans to
After
do.
hearing all this, she still asks for strategies like those who are not strategies.
Exactly, right?
That's what I'm saying. The same standards they cannot set for their candidates, they sought to be doing the same thing. It's mind blowing having people who are not and arguing with them,
It's very sickening, and when I hear things like that, I wonder, do these people actually listen to what we say? Because I listen to what they say. I'm paying attention to hear at some point where they mention what their candidate will do. But their strategy is very simple. They give us a very broad lecture about what food security and employment means, and then they give us nothing about what their candidate is going to do, right? And you can see that it's not, I don't think it's a mistake, right? Because when you go to the level of the candidate himself or themselves, they actually say nothing. They spend all their time talking about how is their turn, talking about how obedience are this, obedience are that, talking generally about different things, but never actually saying what they will do. So because they haven't spoken or said anything anywhere, I guess everybody who follows them is empty, just as they are. The best you will hear is, hey, we are planning to follow the blueprint of Lagos. Tinubu built Lagos. He made Lagos conducive for the Igbos and other tribes, right? Which is for me, it's a very insensitive thing to say. Why? We're talking about a city that was once the capital of Nigeria, right? The Igbos and the other people they talk about that now live there. Most people came there when Lagos was the capital of Nigeria. And right now, we're just supposed to be no man's land. So nobody can say that Tinubu came in 1999, how many years after Lagos became the capital, to say that he suddenly came and made the place conducive for everybody. No, it has always been conducive for everybody. Right from when I was a kid, people were moving to Lagos. If you watch home videos from way back before 1999, they always showed that somebody left the village and moved to Lagos. It's a common theme in Nigeria. Lagos has always been a place where people go because of opportunity. So, you can't just wake up and say Tinubu made Lagos conducive for Nigerians, right? But I guess in the absence of real facts to say, they twist reality and try to paint Tinubu as this demigod that sees the future and has such a wonderful vision that he brought development to Lagos State, right? And it's good to hear that, especially from people who live abroad and know how organized society works. You come back and say that chaotic town called Lagos is the blueprint by which we are going to develop Nigeria, right? So, generally speaking, right, the debate, we honestly wish that we could actually screen people before they come on debates, right? Because whether we like it or not, right, we might be on somebody's Instagram platform, but we're speaking to Nigerians at large, right? And when you bring somebody who is insultive, somebody who is cultured, somebody who comes and makes statements that are tribalistic, that could be considered hate speech in some climes, right? You wonder why.
I was very, very offended by the brand Kanu that are populating Lagos. If I didn't grow up in Lagos, maybe there's some truth to it. But this is a blatant lie. I would say it's the biggest, a lie from the pit of hell. I grew up in Lagos. Nobody can really tell me about Lagos. In fact, left to me, Lagos around in a negative. I can say Ambode work, but you can't tell me that Tinubu worked in depth. These lies are getting out of hand, and their number one person is lying. They've taken it upon themselves to be in disagreement. They are detached from reality. They'll rather tell you you're lying than to say maybe you might be right about this and you might be wrong about this. So that's what I'm at. Another person should listen to you when you are making tribal nasty, but then should also be in agreement with you, but you can't even have it. In fact, please go ahead, bro.
Yeah.
Can I keep in something here? Talking about the lies, I will just put it this way. Years back, okay, dating back to immediately after the war, there was this report about late Vice President of Nigeria, Alex Ekwueme, that after the war, he went back to Lagos to be a Yoruba man, returned to keep all the rents collected on his properties in Lagos, because when the war broke out, Igbo man in Lagos had to run back to the southeast. And after the war, Alex Ekwueme got back to Lagos, and his friend handed over to him every rent he collected on his property during the 3 years of war. Okay. Now, the question is, when were these properties built? Even Ojukwu himself, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu, his father Louis Ojukwu, was the first billionaire before the war, and he had properties in Lagos, showing clearly that Lagos was already a developed city as at 1966 to 1970 during the war. Now, dating back again to the time of General Ibrahim Babangida, even Buhari, who was the head of state, they were ruling from the Jordan Barrack that was in Lagos and still in Lagos. Now, Tinubu coming 1999, like we mentioned, is just an aftermath. He didn't develop Lagos. He didn't make Lagos conducive. He actually did nothing, if not introducing the Eberos and giving them power in Lagos over sane people. That's on the one side. On the other side, the conduct and the language used by the debaters representing Team Asiwaju Ahmed was so rude. And every session of the debate, we keep seeing the good side of them having a greater dimension. Imagine somebody, a lady, who should be a lady. I don't even know what to say now, because I couldn't imagine that somebody, will come on air in the public and be describing an opponent in a debate as talking nonsense, as making irrelevant conversation, as being unreasonable. These are words that are used by somebody who should be a lady. And at a point, you take your hand and place on the camera and say, talk to my hand, talk to my hand. I don't have time for you. No. And to think that this is somebody who lives in quote-unquote civilized society. She says she lives in the United States of America and behaves this way. Oh, come on. I think that is even important, that we'll have a review, okay, a test of character before bringing some people on air. Maybe that the trees might have to look at that, all right? But it's really going to speak volume of the kind of people the kind of orientation, the kind of thoughts that Asiwaju's presidency, projects, and those that believe in him. If someone looks at it, it appears that the conduct of the debaters from his own camp goes to justify the public opinion that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed is the king of Agboros. And so in Lagos, you have him controlling the area boys. That's why his daughter could be the head of the market. A whole lot of things go to justify these rumors and this public opinion of character before bringing on some people to debate on the platform. Ruben, you can go ahead, please.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. The other thing is this. Regarding the section that we call the bass boost during the debates, I feel like the moderator could be a bit more active during that section, because a lot of the time, because of the fact that these people have nothing to say, when you challenge them, the whole debate degenerates into a shouting match, and that's when you start to hear abuses flying around, right? Simply because, just like their principals, when they are challenged, they feel insulted and then they react. Forgetting the fact that we're in a debate, and during debates, questions should be asked, and if they are prepared, they will have answers. For crying out loud, their party has a manifesto. So for every question we ask, the answer is in the manifesto. And I wonder why they still debate unprepared. If the Labour Party had a manifesto, trust me, nobody can beat any Team Obi member in a debate, right? Because we'll just answer from the manifesto. So I see no reason why these people, even with their manifesto, still came unprepared to a debate. It just shows the quality of people that follow the APC presidential candidate. As for the Atiku, Atiku himself is quiet, except when he's making tribal statements, talking about how Northerners don't need Igbos, Yorubas, and his followers are just as quiet as him, right? In all the debates, you can see the trend, no matter who it is, whether it's Mustio or the other guy, Abuji Meta. I don't know his I forget his first name, right? Anybody who comes for Atiku, even the guy on red shirt that came the last time, they have nothing to say, so they are normally very passive, because the principal, says nothing really. He has some glossy manifesto on the PDP website or atikuabubakar.com that I don't think he has read, right? And he comes out and he basically says nothing all the time. So what's Atiku going to do? He's a unifier. Yeah, we don't need a unifier right now. We need someone to save us from the massive debt that is crushing Nigeria, to save us from unemployment, from lack of food security, from all the problems. Right now, unification is the least of our issues. Everybody is busy trying to find food to eat. So when the only points you have about your principal is that he's a unifier that can't unify his own party, you can see the disarray in the PDP right now. Governors from the south, governors from the middle belt, pulling out from his campaign council, right? You can see that there is no unification happening there, and that is a reflection of Nigeria. How will he unify Nigeria when during the campaigns they're talking about how the Northerners need a Northerner and they don't need an Igbo and Yoruba? The fact that you even mention a tribe during your campaign is a minus for me, because we are Nigerians. I shouldn't be campaigning based on tribe anywhere, no matter where I am. And if you do that, it just shows that you're trying your best to pitch the Igbos and the Hausas against the Yorubas, or the other way around, right? So, honestly speaking, if I had my way, I would find a platform like that, the Freezes, where Team Obi can discuss matters that are really important.
That's why we have this platform.
We
have this platform every Thursday by 9 p.m. and again every Saturday, same time. So where we'll discuss things, that issue-based discussions. Yeah.
Exactly. So this, for me, right, at the end of the day, those debates, what we as a team need to continuously do is to keep coming prepared, right? If you look at the comment section nowadays, you have less people talking about Timobi tells lies. Timobi tells lies. Why? Because we, before we come out to speak, everybody we practice, we cannot verify our facts. We try to put as many statistics as possible in our debates, and I think the people actually get educated when we speak, so if it's reaching out to the audience, which is who we are trying to reach, we're not trying to convince Team Tinubu or Team Atiku to vote for Peter Obi. We're talking to the audience, those undecided voters, those 60 or 70 million people now that haven't decided yet to pick up their PVCs. We're talking to them in 10s, in 20s, in 30s, and hopefully before the elections, our message is going to have reached, maybe 1 million, 2 million people, and that will be our own contribution to Peter Obi's victory, just by giving facts and telling them what Peter Obi is going to do for them when he becomes the president. So in that regard, we can ignore the antics of Team Tinubu and Team Atiku and just focus on dishing out facts, dishing out plans, statistics, and past results as well, right? Because something that, we need to work on right now, and I don't see this anywhere, we need to try to project the achievements of Peter Obi, because we have different small videos, snippets of these things in different places. And when you tell people that, hey, Peter Obi did this, they say it's a lie, right? I remember there was a day I was arguing with a group of friends about Peter Obi's achievements. I had never done this before. I began to Google. Okay, so we said Peter Obi, worked on healthcare. Okay? So let's start Googling the hospitals, and I began to Google the hospitals, and I realized, hey, even the hospitals that Peter Obi worked on, they are not like small classroom block looking structures, right? When you Google the Iyenu Hospital, it's a massive structure. You Google Our Lady of Hospital, it's massive. St. Charles Borromeo is massive. I'm like, wow. The one thing Peter Obi did not do as a governor, was what people like Nyesom Wike and the likes of him do now. We still broadcast their achievements on national television, on YouTube, all over the place. I think he performed very confidently because he expected that, hey, this is my job. So I don't need to call the cameras, and showcase my achievements. One. Two, he was an APGA governor, a real minority governor who did not control the media at the time. There was no way he could use them to broadcast his achievements as well, right? That was another constraint. So many of his achievements are there in Anambra State. Anambra indigents, they will tell you, wow, best ever, right? But you tell people in Lagos, they will ask you, if Anambra is so wonderful, why not go and live in Anambra? Very stupid statements like this, right? So I think we need to find a way to make people really see Peter Obi's achievements so that they know for themselves that, hey, this is not a joke. This guy really, really performed. And I think I would try to work on something like that as my own contribution, because I'm tired of, talking and explaining. Just a very nice video to show pictures, receipts, and evidence that, look, this man really performed as a governor. That might help people make a properly informed decision when we say, hey, this guy has results, right? So stop waiting for a manifesto or a statement of lies, right? Let's focus on who did what they said they would do in the past, right? As evidence that in the future, when they become the president of Nigeria, they would at least perform and use our resources for what the resources are meant to be used for.
You're right. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
you're right. You just said it all. When Peter Obi, as a governor, used the strategy he called ANIT, Anambra Integrated Development Strategy. Okay. Which benchmarked the be a white goose chase because of where Anambra State was prior to his coming on board. And the thought that was lacking in funds, that it would be difficult for him to attack all the sectors of Anambra State at the same time and develop them simultaneously. And they were advising him, please just take like a 5-point agenda or 5 things to do. When the next governor comes, he can work on that. And Peter said, no, we are going to raise the fund and we are going to do this. And like magic, the people of Anambra State started seeing government touch, government presence in everything, including the rural areas. There's no community in Anambra State, not even one, that did not have new classroom blocks in all their schools. Every school in this state received at least 2 new classrooms, equipped fully, right? We're not talking about computers and all that. So many things. This guy made Anambra State to know that, yes, you can have dividends of democracy, that a government can really be responsible. And he started working very well. Every corner of this state. Okay? So he's a wonderful man, all right? Brume, you have said it all. I also appreciate Priya. Maybe we'll just take our final statement before we close for the day. Your final statement.
Okay. I just want to say that the time has come for Nigerians to be a bit more vigilant. We can support candidates based on tribal sentiment all we want. We can support candidates based on religious sentiment all we want. We can support candidates based on any other sentiment that has nothing to do with their plans for Nigeria all we want. But it doesn't help any of us at the end of the day, right? The fact is that politicians and the upper class of Nigeria are not divided. They are very united. All of them, including our candidate, right? Our candidate does not talk against Tinubu, does not talk against Atiku, right? And Atiku and Tinubu, yes, they throw jabs at each other sometimes, right? But they never fight the way we at the bottom fight. We at the bottom shouldn't be fighting. We should be looking at these people and saying, hey, we have suffered long enough. Can you imagine, in all my years on this planet, I have never seen constant light in Nigeria. My parents, I doubt they have ever seen constant light in all their years on this planet in Nigeria. So now is the time for us to erase sentiment and say, hey, Nigeria has gone down the drain. It's time to plug that drain and start filling the country back up. Make a turning point and start heading towards progress, because we are not making any progress whatsoever. So when we go out to vote, let us look at the candidates, especially those who have had the opportunity to serve before, and see what they did with the resources they had, and see what they have done since then, even after leaving government. Because look, Peter Obi and the other 2 candidates have been out of power for a long time. But we can see that some have been active in public life, some have been active in philanthropy, some have been actively supporting their communities. We need to take all this into consideration and also look at who has the right amount of energy to tackle Nigeria right now. Because look, let's face it, a sick man cannot lead Nigeria. We don't want another Buhari that will spend all the time, of doing admin work in the UK, at the expense of taxpayers. We need somebody who is active, who can be in Delta State in the morning, Rivers in the afternoon, sleep in Kanu at night, wake up in Borno the next morning, and do the job that Nigerians voted him to do. And for me, I have selected Mr. Peter Obi, and I hope other Nigerians will pick up their PVCs, go to the polling station on that day, and make an informed decision. Something else I will say before I close is, you can look at all the candidates right now. How they spend money for their campaign is a reflection of how they would treat public resources. If you are wasting money buying recharge cards, buying votes, buying clothes, and all these things, instead of actually giving a message to the people, you can imagine that party is going to waste resources when they get into power. You can look at the party right now that has succeeded in getting organic support, without spending money, that party is a party that will most likely spend Nigeria's resources judiciously. So let us make a very wise decision this time
Correct.
and go and do the right. Otherwise, if we get it wrong next year, I believe Nigeria will cease to exist by the end of the year. Thank you.
Yeah, you are not wrong. You are not actually the first person to say that. Thank you very much. If we get it wrong now, Nigeria may cease to exist, judging from where we are currently as a nation. Okay, Lady Priye, may we have your final statement for tonight?
Okay, so I'm going to be saying this, not just to Peter Obi supporter, Nigerian that will come across this video somehow. Know the truth. From time immemorial, our diversity is our strength. And when I say diversity, I don't mean diversity or our religious diversity, even our diversity in geographic location, our diversity with regard to the spread across the nation would be our strength. But we have been stuck, and we are stuck with a bunch of elite leaders that are more on personal gain. We find ourselves in this situation simply because we've been lied to for a very long time. Gradually understanding that we're in this situation because a very long time. We have leaders that believe more in divide than actually intentional leadership that would take us a step ahead. We need this status quo to change. In the past, hunger, inflation, insecurity, they don't know tribe, or they don't even know your party. It doesn't. All these variables have nothing to do with your party affiliation. If you're Nigerian, you cannot take your party name to the market, buy a kilo of meat or a tuber of yam. You will take your same Nigerian spends to buy essential commodities. You will go that your opposition will go to purchase the same things. So what are we saying? As government said, those of us who are supporting spend most of our time trying to pick on other supporters than actually bring for those people who are in diaspora. Things can be where you can be on a boardroom with many people, and you can all have different ideas and not even agree, but you will be civil with each other on ground. And I wish our young people can adopt this prayer that Nigeria would meet potential. Hence why we are calling I don't know if I'm muted. Can you unmute?
No, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes, so we need to find a way to take stress and turn it into something positive. Peter Obi has, like Roman said, because he's the only person talking to people. Detach yourself from the electorate and expect them to thumbprint party name on election day. And nobody, how rich you are, it doesn't matter how big you become, it doesn't matter how you think you are. Nobody can singularly of over 200 million Nigerians. And if our politicians can understand and know that really the power belongs to people. And when we say power, we don't mean the usual definition where Nigerians think the word power just means someone who is tough-handed. No, power meaning the ability to collectively, it lies with the people. And the only politician that is speaking whom the power lies with is Peter Obi. And that is the truth. We're not about it because we can see that that's what's happening. So, hopefully, continue to speak out. Hopefully, Peter Obi will win next year's election, because if we don't have him, there might be no Nigeria for us to call our own.
Yes, again, like Rume, you said it. If we don't have P2B in Aso Rock next year, there might be no Nigeria. Not that one is causing the country, and not like one is saying if we don't have P2B, we are going to cause trouble. No, but the fact is, if we don't have P2B with his qualities, with his capability, competence, and capacity to fix this country, then we may not have somebody that can fix the country. And if we are unable to fix the country may not exist anymore. So that's where we are. Obinna, please may we have your final statement to our compatriots before we close for tonight. I think you're muted.
Obinna, you're mute. You're mute, Obinna.
Thank you, Nigerians. Thank you, our viewers. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of our program today. It is a great thing to know that your level of understanding of what we do is going to make great impact in changing mindsets and helping you to change mindsets of the people around you. Food security is possible in Nigeria. I want every Nigerian to know this. And it is possible to have every single Nigerian, the youth out there, employed. All these are possible with good governance. When you have the right person in place, a lot will be achieved. Do well today to give your votes to the right candidate, the man for this job. And this is our principal, Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, under the great party, Labour Party. Papa, Mama, and Pekin. That is what you will see on the ballot. Vote for Peter Obi. I am sure you will be glad you were a part of this group and this party that's changed things in Nigeria. Like my other colleagues have said, Nigeria can work again. It depends on what you decide to do today. Vote today, and tomorrow enjoy it. A new Nigeria is possible. See you once again next week on this program as we review again.
Thank you, Obinna. Thank you, Rie, and thank you, Rume. To all of us in the country, my fellow compatriots, you've had it all. The country is suffering of hunger and even starvation. Now that we have flood ravaging this country, there is hunger. So food security is possible with good governance. Like Obinna said, every person in this country can be gainfully employed with good governance, it is a possibility. P2B has said to fix this country is doable, and he will take responsibility as the president. What do we do? Ours is to support him, to give him our cooperation, give him our franchise, to work with, and then for us to work with him for the good of everybody. So, a new Nigeria is possible, and it starts with you and I by casting our vote. So go to that your closet, bring out your PVC. If you've just registered, remember, you need to go pick your PVC from the authorities and get ready for that march that will take place in February 2023, when we will select a leader that will lead us right. When we will select that man that everybody has been singing his name, Obi Kererenke, Obi Kererenke, all right? And so it has been your fellow compatriot, Chukwu Ilo, hosting this discourse for and on behalf of Team P2B Live. I welcome you always. As I say, good night. See you again by 9 p.m. on Saturday, when we will discuss with our guests, who will be announced on the same day, same time. Until then, I am obedient. Have a good night. Thank you. See you. Bye.